All right, let's talk about the unsung hero of your home. That silent partner working 24/7 to keep you comfortable, your HVAC system. And look, getting a handle on this thing isn't just about avoiding a house that's too hot or too cold. It's about saving money and dodging some major stress. So let's dive into our survival guide for mastering your home's climate.
We've all had this nightmare, right? It's that moment of pure panic when a simple appliance suddenly becomes the most critical piece of technology you own. And you know what? These things never break down on a mild Tuesday afternoon. No, they almost always wait for the most extreme, the most inconvenient moment possible to just give up.
So why do these systems fail? Well, the truth is, the failure often starts way before you have a clue that anything is wrong. Your HVAC is in a constant invisible battle with its surroundings. So what are these forces that are secretly attacking your system? Yeah, before we even get into the nuts and bolts, the mechanical parts, we have to understand the outside forces at play. I'm talking about your local climate, the age and style of your house, even the trees in your yard. All that stuff contributes to the daily wear and tear on your system. So let's break this down. Those freeze-thaw cycles, they force your furnace to go from 0 to 100, again and again. You live in a historic home? Well, all that character can come with old, leaky, inefficient ductwork that's basically choking your system's airflow. And high humidity, especially if you're near the coast, makes your AC work double time. Even those beautiful trees can be the enemy, dropping leaves and gunk that clog up your outdoor unit. It's really like a constant assault from all sides. But here's the good news. Most systems don't just die silently. They send out warning flares. They're trying to talk to you. The trick is knowing how to spot them, how to listen. So let's learn to speak the language of our HVAC systems. Okay, this is a classic. You walk into your basement or utility closet and, yep, there's a puddle near the indoor unit. Your first instinct might be to just mop it up and forget about it. But don't do that. What is the signal actually telling you? So what's happening here is actually super common. Your AC creates condensation. That's normal. It's supposed to drain away. But when that little drain line gets clogged up with dust and gunk, the water has nowhere to go. It backs up and spills out. It's a clear call to action before you're dealing with a much bigger, much more expensive water damage problem. All right, here's another one that hits you right in the wallet. You haven't changed your habits, the weather's been pretty typical, but your utility bill suddenly looks like you're trying to power a small city. What is your system trying to tell you? See, here's the thing you got to remember. Your energy bill is basically a performance report for your HVAC. When a system has to run longer and harder just to do the same job, maybe because of a dirty filter or a failing part, all that wasted energy shows up directly on your bill. It is screaming for a checkup. Now for the clues that hit your other senses. A sudden clanking, grinding, or a high-pitched squealing, that is never a good sign. Same goes for a burning or musty smell coming out of your vents. These are urgent messages that something is mechanically broken, or even worse, that you might have a safety issue on your hands. And oh yeah, the list goes on. Your furnace is blowing cold air. You've got one room that feels like a sauna while another one's an icebox, or a system that turns on and off constantly. Look, these aren't just quirks to ignore. They are all symptoms of a bigger problem that will only get worse. And trust me, more expensive if you just wait. Okay, so you've spotted a problem. Now comes the big, often expensive question. Do you fix the old workhorse, or is it finally time to invest in a brand new system? This can feel totally overwhelming, but don't worry, there's a simple little bit of math that can make this decision a whole lot easier. Let's talk about what's called the $5,000 rule. Now, this isn't magic, it's just really practical math to help you make a smart financial decision. It's all about weighing the short-term cost of a repair against the long-term value of a replacement, so you're not just throwing good money after bad. Okay, let's walk through an example. Let's say you have a 12-year-old system and you get a quote for a $500 repair. You just multiply 12 years by $500, which gives you $6,000. Since that's over the $5,000 mark, replacement is probably the smarter financial move. But what if that same $500 repair is on a system that's only 6 years old? Well, 6 times 500 is $3,000. That's way under the line. So in that case, a repair makes perfect sense. See? The formula helps account for how likely it is you'll face more repairs on an older unit. Now, whether you decide to repair or replace, you're gonna need a professional. But listen, not all service is created equal. Knowing what you should expect, and honestly what you should demand, is the key to making sure you get quality work that actually solves your problem for good. A good service call should never be a mystery. It should follow a very clear path.
First, a technician diagnoses the real issue with proper testing, not just guesswork. Second, and this is huge, you get a clear, written estimate before any work starts, no surprise bills. And finally, they test the fix to make sure it worked, and the company follows up later. It's all about transparency and accountability. And when you do get a new system, it's not just about getting something new, it's about getting something that's way, way better. Here's why. All these acronyms, AFUE, SEER, HSPF, you can basically think of them as the MPG ratings for your HVAC equipment. Government codes actually require that all new systems meet these minimum efficiency standards, which pretty much guarantees that any new unit you install will be significantly less wasteful and save you a ton of money on energy bills compared to your old clunker. And a true professional goes even deeper. They don't just sell you a new box, they make sure it's the right box for your specific home. That's where something called a manual J calculation comes in. It stops them from installing a system that's too big or too small, which is a really common cause of problems down the road. They'll also have EPA certification to handle refrigerants safely, and they'll follow industry standards for ductwork. These aren't just buzzwords, they're the real marks of a quality, lasting installation. So we've talked a lot about what to do when things go wrong. But the ultimate goal, the real pro move, is to prevent things from going wrong in the first place. And that brings us to the most powerful strategy of all, proactive maintenance. This right here perfectly illustrates the two roads you can take. On one side, you have emergency service. It's reactive, it's stressful, and it always, always comes with a surprise price tag. On the other side, you have preventative maintenance. It's the total opposite, proactive, scheduled, and a small, predictable investment that helps you avoid that high-cost emergency. You're really choosing between fixing a breakdown and preventing one entirely. Think of an annual tune-up like a physical for your HVAC system. A technician can clean all the essential parts, make sure it's running at peak efficiency, and, this is key, spot a small, cheap issue like a worn-out belt before it snaps and causes a catastrophic failure. It is, without a doubt, the single best thing you can do to keep your system reliable and efficient year after year. And that really brings us to our final thought. After seeing just how much rides on this one system, it's worth asking yourself, what's your plan? Are you just waiting for a crisis? Or are you taking these simple, proactive steps to protect your comfort, your wallet, and your peace of mind? The choice, as they say, is yours.